On build video 8, we're going to be looking at assembling the sliding part of the tail. Due to technical difficulties, the camera stopped working during the build of this, and I did it multiple times, and I don't want to keep redoing the screws and wearing stuff out. So I'm just going to go through it with you guys. All this stuff comes pre-built. So the only thing you're going to have to do is undo all this stuff and re-Loctite it. So this is what you're going to want to do. I'm going to walk you through how all this stuff what all this stuff is. You're going to want to re-Loctite this ball down here, and that's a 2mm hex driver. This down here that holds the arm, there's a little groove in there where it sits, this arm, and that's a 2mm hex drive. You're just going to want to tighten it down until it stops, and then 1/8 of a turn to tighten it down. And then all of these are 1.5mm. They take a 1.5mm hex driver all around here. Then these two right here, and these two, and that one right there. And then you're going to see there's a little collar, looks like a hexagon, and it spins with the whole shaft assembly. You're going to want to make sure that this is Loctited. You can undo that with a wrench, and just tighten it down until it's flush with the bottom of that black piece. Don't tighten it too tight, or else you could crush that bearing or ruin some stuff. And then you're going to notice there's two screws, one here, one 1.5, and then the other side is another 1.5 right there. And what you're going to want to do is put some Loctite on there and just tighten it with your fingers until it stops, and barely, like a 1/16 of a turn. Nothing like till it stops, and barely put pressure. If you put too much pressure, you'll crush this plastic piece right here, and it won't want to spin or operate smoothly, as you'll see. And if you check the other side, you just want to do it till it stops, and then a very, very small little turn. And then these right here are the same way till they stop. And don't snug them down too tight, just till they stop. And do that to both sides on those gold screws. And then with the grips, using your Phillips screwdriver as well, you'll put some Loctite on them. Make sure that no Loctite gets in that collar, that gold brass collar behind here. And you'll screw that down until it stops, and then give it a little snug. That won't crush anything or do any damage or cause any problems. And then you're going to want to go through your thrust bearings in here, and you're going to want to take a 2.5mm hex driver and undo these. Just unscrew them and go through, and just like the grips, if you watch the grips, the head assembly build video with the grips, with those thrust bearings, it's pretty much the same procedure with the in and out and how the bearing goes in. So just make sure that you follow exactly how that shows, with the on the outside and on the inside, with the grooves facing toward the bearing, with the cupped side facing in so it holds the grease. And it's pretty simple, but on video to rebuild this whole thing, I wish it came out, but it didn't do as good as I wanted. But it's quite simple. All you have to do is just re-Loctite that stuff, clean all the grease off each one of these of the screws, and then take your 2mm. And there's a little a little circle indentation in there behind the set screw on the shaft, and then you're gonna want to Loctite that just as usual, get all the oil off it, and then kind of loosely screw it down until you feel the flat spot. And then you'll feel as you tighten it down, it will seat itself into there. And if it doesn't, you'll figure it out. But just make sure it's in that flat spot so it holds well. And then you'll just crank it down. Don't be shy. Don't break your tools. But give it a nice good snug, because you don't want that coming loose. And other than that, that's pretty much it. Your slider should, as long as you don't over tighten these brass screws or these screws right here that clamp down that hex piece collar. If those are perfect, it should be fairly easy to move this. If it's not, you might want to try loosening those two on both sides and redoing that procedure. And when you're done, take some ATV or some Tri-Flow, any kind of good oil for your bearings and stuff, and just put some on the shaft. I use automatic transmission fluid, which is awesome, and then just work it in and just move back and forth, and you'll know that everything is working properly when you've got a nice smooth fit. Then another thing to look at is when you're looking at the top of the case, you'll know that it's the right orientation upright, because the align will be upright and not upside down like that. And a line should be printed on the top right here. Just make sure that you get that correct. And when you flip it upside down, this ball is going to be on the second hole, not the first one, but the second. And make sure that this arm goes towards the center of the tail case groove. And other than that, thanks for watching, guys, and fly safe.